Hey folks, it's Dr. Mike for Renaissance Periodization. Welcome back. It's our bullshit series. I think I swore in the first 30 seconds. Hopefully the algorithm doesn't catch that. Here's the deal. Today's topic is gluten. And no, gluten itself isn't bullshit, but what is it? Gluten is actually, it sounds scary and I'm sure you've heard a lot about it before, is a type of protein found in wheat. That's it. What? I thought it was toxic and coming after our children. Here's the thing. Gluten is found in wheat. It is perfectly natural. It is not some scary chemical additive made in a big factory with the skull and crossbones on the front of the factory and a chemical sign and white on a nuclear radiation warning, where Diet Coke is made. It's none of that. It's actually completely natural and found in wheat. And here's the thing. To cut this BS myth a bit of slack, gluten sensitivity is absolutely real. Formally, it's called celiac disease. It affects between 1% and 2% of Western populations. And there is a potential, though a very small one, for non-celiac gluten sensitivity to be real. Now, so far as I know, none of the larger studies have ever caught this. And a few of the larger, more well-controlled studies have actually showed that most of the people, if not all, that think they have non-celiac gluten sensitivity actually don't. Phenomenally brilliant way they got to this idea is they would give people food with either gluten or not in it, randomized, and even the researchers didn't know which food had it, was pre-labeled, and they would give them the food, they would eat it, and then they would say, oh, I'm definitely having a bad reaction, it's gluten, and it turns out that the people who said they had gluten sensitivities just as often said that the food without gluten made them feel weird as the food with gluten. Oftentimes, real funny, the people that really said they had a gluten sensitivity would eat the food with gluten and they'd be like, that was great. And they're like, gluten-free, right? I got it. Absolutely, of course. And nothing happened. That's rough. That's a rough take. If that's really the case, then perhaps it's not a thing. Now, that could be a thing, but it would be small thing. It would be rare, on the order of as rare as celiac, potentially even rare. So that's the reality. How do you know if you have gluten sensitivity, or more formally and more easily diagnosable, because it's a confirmed real thing, how do you know if you have celiac disease? Well, here's the thing. Even a small amount of wheat product tends to bloat you up like crazy, like a not funny amount of bloating. And it can give you unreal discomfort, real bubbly guts, and in many cases it leads to the runs, aka diarrhea. That's a nasty, nasty thing. People with celiac disease aren't like, yeah, man, if I have too much gluten, it's bad news, LOL. They're like, if I have gluten, it is bad things for many hours afterwards. I have to eat a purposeful, regimented, strict diet with no gluten. Now, here's why I'm one tiny reservation I have about making this video. I have a few friends who have celiac disease, and they're really great people. And before, they used to be very, very restricted in the kinds of products they could eat because tons of stuff has wheat in it. Ever since the big gluten scare that started in like the late 2010s, the late 2000s into the 2010s and beyond, so many, for lack of a better term, Karens thought they were gluten intolerant that this entire cottage industry, quite large, of gluten-free stuff popped up. And my friends are all much happier because they're like, yeah, I can eat bread and wraps and all this other crazy shit. It's now gluten-free because everyone's scared they have celiac disease, even though they don't. Don't tell them. So sorry, guys, that, truth comes first. I do think some of the gluten-free products is still, 1% to 2% is a very large market. And when you're exclusively marketing to those people, especially with services like Amazon, geez, you can buy all the gluten-free stuff in the world. So that's not really a problem anymore, which is a great thing. But this whole group of people that think they're intolerant of gluten and aren't, a lot of times they have a few complaints. Some of these complaints make actually no internal sense. Here's the case in point. A lot of complaints with gluten and people saying, hey, I think I'm going to drop gluten from my diet. I think I'm allergic to gluten. I think I'm sensitive to it because I've just been eating all this like pasta and stuff like that, and I've been gaining a bunch of weight. Hold on a second. If you have celiac disease, you are less able to process both the gluten and most of the other stuff that was in your GI tract at the same time, which is why you flush all of it out, nasty, like barely digested diarrhea. Sorry, I know. Sorry if you're eating. Your fault now. And this leads to nutrient malabsorption that is actually endangers the health of non-managed celiac patients, so that we actually, the result if you have a gluten sensitivity and you eat gluten still is you will lose a profound amount of tissue over time. amount of tissue that risks muscle mass, it risks your health. So if you are gluten sensitive and that's leading you to gain weight, that puzzle pieces don't fit, right? It's like people, same idea. I'm sure I'll make a video of this eventually. People are taking digestive enzymes to try to lose weight. If you digest your food less, it goes through without being absorbed. You gain less weight. If you digest your food really well, you gain all the weight. Like if I see someone who weighs 600 pounds, my last thing I think about them is, oh, gee whiz, they must have digestive troubles. They don't have 99 problems, and they do have 99 problems. Digestive trouble is not one of them. So with gluten, it works the same way. People with actual gluten intolerance lose weight from consuming gluten. Way too much weight, not the healthy kind. So if you're gaining weight and you think you have a gluten intolerance, one is at best not the cause of the other. More than likely, you're just fine with gluten. A lot of these stories, and here's sort of point number 5 in the slides, a lot of these stories come to us through clients and folks in the fitness space that'll say things like, yeah, man, I think gluten's all wrong for me. And like, oh, how do you know? Like, well, I was having pizza with the kids and the husband last night, and it just got so bloated. I'm like, I got you. How much did you eat? They're like, well, it's Friday night. Go on. I had a few breadsticks and a slice of pizza. After 9 other slices of pizza and an amount of breadsticks, I stopped counting. Oh, I see. So you had 3,000 calories in one meal, and then you complained of bloating and discomfort. How strange, right? So a lot of times this gluten business just completely washes away. If you eat a very healthy, very well-balanced diet, and you're still wheat products only are really sensitive to them, that's something to look into. But that's almost no one, and I literally mean almost no one. For the vast majority of population, for this reason, for all these reasons, cutting out gluten is just a gigantic waste of effort for nothing. You could be eating delicious wheat. There's tons of stuff that's great that's made of wheat, including, oh wait, I only have to say one thing, pasta. Pasta is like the final boss you can't defeat. There's no answer to pasta because pasta is the best thing that has ever been. Rice, yes, rice is also good. But pasta, you know what I'm saying? When you get pasta on your plate at a restaurant, that's like the fucking Kraken coming out of the ocean. That scene in I was going to say Remember the Titans, a slightly different movie. Clash of the Titans, the new one, which was sweet. Motherfucker took him like 10 minutes to even get out of the fucking water. That's how big he was. That's how scared you should be of how amazing pasta is. So if gluten's keeping you the fuck away from pasta, I don't even know why. Come back to us. Come back to us. Because thinking that you have a gluten intolerance when you actually don't is bullshit. See you guys next time.